Let's talk about Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, in my DC cinematic universe. He was the heir to the Queen Consolidated Empire, and this kid wasted his potential. He spent all of his nights just drinking and fucking. One week, when out sailing with his dad, they would get hit by a powerful storm. The ship would capsize, his father would drown before his very eyes, and Oliver would wash up on an island in the South China Sea. Ollie lived there for years, eventually crafting himself a bow and arrow so that he could hunt the native boar that lived on the island. And that was his life for years. But then one day, he overheard something. Weird noises coming from the south end of the island that he never really went to because even the animals avoided that. So if the animals weren't there, what's the fucking point of going there? And when Ollie got to that part, he saw a ship. He saw human beings. But when he was rushing over to them to reveal himself and hopefully get off this goddamn island, he realized that this was a slave trafficking boat. He saw women and children tied and bound, being loaded from one ship onto several others, set sail for all different countries. And Oliver realized he couldn't stand by and do nothing. And so, over the course of a couple weeks, full Rambo style, this dude took out all of the slavers on that island. He got all of the women and children onto one of the boats, and they set sail for China. He landed there, was turned into the authorities. They figured out who he was. He was cleared of all charges because he stopped a fucking slave trafficking ring, and he was sent back to the United States. And when he got back to the US, he tried to rebuild his life, but Ollie had pretty severe PTSD. He killed all of those slavers, and it was traumatizing him. He had to do it. He had to save those people, but he couldn't stop thinking, what if he had done it non-lethally? What if he'd figured out a way? What if he had been a real, true hero? Eventually, he was doing so bad mental health-wise, he sought professional help. And his psychiatrist turned out to be none other than Dinah Laurel Lance. And it was Dinah that would kind of give him the idea that maybe he should try doing something about these feelings of wanting to be a hero and wanting to make a difference. And so he became Green Arrow. He used his billions to invest in really good bows and arrows. He trained every single day. He had his R&D department make different types of arrowheads, and all of them non-lethal. In my universe, he does get his boxing glove arrow, but what it is it's an arrow with a sort of compressed metal capsule at the end, and it fires off towards the target, and just before it hits the target, the compressed metal capsule explodes like an airbag, turning in to what looks like a boxing glove and hitting someone in the face. I'm giving this guy his full goofy fucking arsenal of arrows. And while he is out and about starting his new brand of vigilantism, he would run into someone. The new Black Canary. The two would team up every now and then. The two would flirt, and then during the day, he'd go back to therapy. And while he's at therapy, he was kind of realizing something. The lower part of his therapist's face drew a striking resemblance to that woman that he's teaming up with every now and then. And then, heartbreakingly, his therapist breaks up with him. She tells him she can no longer work with him. And Ollie is just heartbroken. He didn't know what he was doing wrong. He thought everything was going great. And then when he was out on patrol that night, he runs into Black Canary again. But this time, Black Canary is acting different. And she runs up and she gives this dude a big ol' fucking kiss. She dumped him because she could no longer be his therapist in good faith because she had feelings for him. And you bet your ass this man reciprocated. Those two fell so fucking hard in love. Green Arrow and Black Canary became Star City's star fucking superhero power couple, and they started a group known as the Outsiders. They recruited others into their ranks, such as Black Lightning of Dakota City, Katana of Los Angeles, and the Vixen working out of New York City. Inspired by the Justice League, these guys decided to become their own superhero team. And then the events of my second Justice League movie happen, where President Lex Luthor declares the Justice League public enemy number one. And so the Outsiders know something isn't right. So the Outsiders set out to confront the Justice League. And yeah, obviously, of course, it turns out that Lex Luthor was completely fucking lying and doing this whole thing to frame the Justice League so that he could legally arrest or kill them. Outsiders and the Justice League team up, they take down President Lex Luthor, and then the Outsiders are welcomed into the Justice League. Oh, and also Green Arrow and Black Canary are married from the very first time you meet them in my universe. They're already married. They're already married, and they're very happy, okay? They are so happy. So shut the fuck. And yes, he's getting the goatee. It's mandatory that he gets the goatee. No killing, goofy ass arrows, happily married, lots of dumb jokes, and his arrow hideout is called the Arrow Cave, and eventually it's renamed into the Quiver when his wife points out that arrows aren't in caves, you idiot. Green Arrow and Black Canary also appear in my Justice League Crisis movie, and don't worry, these guys get more attention. These guys take over for Phase 4, okay? Green Arrow gets a solo movie in Phase 4, Black Canary gets a solo movie in Phase 4, and they're both in each of their own movies. It's gonna be fine. He gets his sidekicks eventually, but they are young. This dude is like 10 years younger than Batman. So like take all of Batman's apprentices' ages and remove 10 years from him. That's the ages we're dealing with here. He ain't gonna get Roy until Phase 4. Y'all gotta wait.